Welcome to Uninformed Summary, a podcast where four friends get together, talk about a person or a topic in history and how that topic affects history. This week, Molly's in the hot seat.
Hi guys. Tonight we're going to be talking about Freddie Mercury.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm in the hot seat. Hello. Who's next?
I mean, I think you mean to say who is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
'Cause
Who
it's
is
me.
awesome? Oh, she is.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right. Yeah. Next is Matt.
Me. Yep.
And then Vinny.
Ah, that's me being relieved. I did not have to do any work for this one. It's very nice.
Yeah.
I listened to Live Aid twice, so I feel like I can speak pretty confidently. Did you know he was a singer?
I think I heard
thought
that
it was
somewhere.
like the guy that found the planet, but no, he did like a bunch of stuff. Mostly the singing, actually.
That was one of his best performances.
I think no other person in that band had a better mustache, but I digress.
For sure.
Okay. So the life of Farrokh Balsera began on the East African island of Zanzibar on September 5th, 1946.
Are we going to talk about Freddie Mercury, though? Because that sounds
Yeah.
interesting.
It was Queen.
Yeah, Farrokh Balsera is his name. That's his real name.
That's
But
amazing.
but for real, though.
For real.
That's a real name, dude. That sounds like a WWE heel character.
Farrokh Balsera. Yeah, and 25 years later in London, under the name Freddie Mercury, he was fronting the now legendary rock group named Queen. But we're going to start from the beginning. Farrokh Balsera was born in Stone Town in the British Protectorate of Zanzibar on September 5th, 1946. His parents, Bomi and Jer Balsera, were from the Parsi community of Western India, and he also had a younger sister named Kashmira. Mercury spent most of his childhood in India, where he began taking piano lessons at the age of 7. A year later, in 1954, he was sent to study at St. Peter's School, a British-style boarding school for boys in Panchgani. Is that how you say it?
Panchgani.
Panchgani.
It is now.
It's near Mumbai, which used to be Bombay.
Oh, then it's definitely not how you say it. But yeah, we should steamroll over that though.
Either way, you could just say it was a school for boys near Mumbai, which used to be Bombay. He was influenced by Indian music and the sounds of Bollywood, and when he was in England, he was exposed to a new and very different pop culture. He became seduced by the rock and roll sound and drawing influence from bands such as The Who, Elvis Presley, Jimi Hendrix, Led Zeppelin, and the Rolling Stones. Also taking inspiration from Marlena Shaw and Liza Minnelli theatrically.
That devil. That devil got him. He probably playing Dungeons and Dragons, listening to that rock music.
Definitely listen to the rock music. I don't know if he was playing D&D. But at the age of 12, he formed a school band called the Hectics and covered rock and roll artists such as Cliff Richard and Little Richard. He was born with 4 extra teeth in the back of his mouth, causing his bucktooth grin, which he thought enhanced his vocal range. You know, people had always asked him, like, why don't you just get those removed? He goes, no. He thought that it would change his palate.
Push me mouth open.
But the bucktooth look earned him the name Bucky.
Oh.
Nickname. Name Bucky.
Affectionate?
Huh?
What was it, like an affectionate nickname? Like people were like, "Hey, it's Bucky."
Yeah, it was by his bandmates.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I really like the idea that someone heard that about the extra teeth. They're like in LA living in a car. They're like, fuck this. They stop by a dentist office like, I need you to put more teeth in me. just fill it up, bro. It's fine. Okay, see, I gotta get that to a normal tone.
One of Mercury's former bandmates from the Hectics has said the only music he listened to and played was Western pop music. A friend recalls that he had an uncanny ability to listen to the radio and replay what he heard on piano, which is amazing. It was also at St. Peter's where he began to call himself Freddie. In February of 1963, he moved back to Zanzibar to join his parents. But in the spring of... Yes, Scott.
I actually have something to say about that, and I may have to change it just in case anyone here tries to murder my family. Zanzibar is my private... I use that... It's a code. I don't know why. Maybe this isn't relevant, but Zanzibar doesn't come up very often, so I'm going to take my time. Zanzibar. Me and my wife
talk about Zanzibar all the time.
If me and my wife are somewhere and we're just getting creepy vibes from something, or we're both like, "Hey, we need to get out of here," I'll be like, "Hey, Zanzibar," and she'll go, "Oh yeah, Zanzibar," and then we just continue doing what we're doing, and then we're like, "Hey, we got to go," so feel like we might get murdered.
Neat, because I mean, it makes sense because in the spring of 1964, Mercury and his family fled from Zanzibar to escape the violence of the revolution against the Sultan of Zanzibar, in which thousands of ethnic Arabs and Indians were killed.
I am so glad I read the script before you started.
They fled to England, and Freddie attended the Ealing College of Art and befriended several musicians. By May of 1970, less than a year into his musical career, Freddie had already joined and left 2 bands. Freddie...
If I remember correctly, wasn't he only in a band for like 3 shows or 3 like little small gigs and was like, no.
Yeah.
I think that was the second band.
It didn't take very long, but Freddie, with guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor, then later joined by the bassist John Deacon in 1971 on March 1st. They, which the broken band Smile, which two members of Smile were now apart, had become Queen. Ibex, later named Wreckage, and Sour Milk Sea were the 2 band names.
Sour Milk Sea.
That was the
I
last
think I've
one.
smoked.
That was the second one that he was just like, no.
I have smoked Sour Milk Sea.
Yeah, that's some of the medical stuff. What an unfortunate band name. So can I stop for a second and just ask, did they call it Smile for any reason? You know, with like the
I
extra
don't know.
teeth
I
and
don't
the
think
bucket
it.
of Smile.
I think Freddie joined Smile.
Oh, okay. No, that's cool. All right, my bad.
But I mean, that's a good question.
They had 4 members, and then they just got Freddie and 3 other people, and so now they've got 4 extra. It was like a Mumford and Sons band. It didn't work out.
So they're now Queen, right? Freddie later said, "It's very regal, obviously, and it sounds splendid. It's a strong name, very universal and immediate. I was certainly aware of the gay connotations, but that was just one facet of it." At about the same time, he legally changed his surname, Balsera, to Mercury.
All in.
Damn.
Shortly before the release of Queen's first album, he designed the band's logo, known as the Queen Crest. The logo combines the zodiac signs of the 4 band members: 2 lions for John and Roger, who are Leos, a crab for Brian, which is Cancer, and 2 fairies for Freddie, Virgo. The lions embrace a stylized letter Q. The crab rests atop the letter with flames rising directly above it, and the fairies are each sheltering below the lion. A crown is shown inside the Q, and the whole logo is overshadowed by an enormous phoenix. Take a look when you get the chance.
Yeah,
Oh,
hold on,
that's
looking
going
this
in the
up right
video.
now. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
it's pretty
insane.
dope.
Look at this thing. There's a lot of stuff that comes up when you type in Queen Crest, but when you type in Freddie as well, it's insane. Look at that.
That's
We need a
interesting.
logo like that.
He designed it. He did go to art school.
Good
Oh,
point.
wow.
So talented.
He is very talented. Freddie and the band strived for a sound unlike any other, and everyone was expecting the new Beatles. But they put out a mix of heavy rock and ballads, show tunes meets pop, and along with Freddie's unique voice, they really had something special. Record labels didn't want anything to do with them because they were confused with their sound. Like, at that time, I feel like I'd understand. But Queen eventually landed a session with a small studio called Trident, one which Brian and Roger dealt with whilst in their previous band Smile. And the band thought they were on the road to success, but their 2 tracks were only released in the US as a promotional device to radio stations rather than commercially.
Sideshow acted, huh?
Yeah.
Thought they'd be up in lights. But their music was still very, very good at this point. They're classically trained musicians as well, right? Brian May. Some of the other guys in Queen, I'm not sure about, but May would not only have learned classically been trained in guitar, but he was like a guitar designer, sound engineer and stuff.
Oh,
He was
every
building
member
amplifiers.
was.
They were like scientists.
Yeah, they were amazing.
It was actually really incredible. I had this little book back when I first got a guitar, and it came with like history of rock, and Queen was in there, and so it talks about how these guys would build modifications to their own amplifiers and stuff to make it sound more operatic, symphonic, classier, just like Freddie was saying before. Yeah.
Fortunately, Freddie persisted, and in 1972, when Queen provided backing vocals and percussion for Trident Studios, their attempt to recreate Phil Spector's Wall of Sound on I Can Hear Music, the producer was so impressed that he persuaded Trident to call on their link with the EMI records, and Queen had a record deal.
Yeah, you know that new sound you've been looking for?
Yeah. The result was their first album entitled Queen, and it put them firmly on the recording map.
Super creative, guys.
How did they come up with that title for that first EP?
Well, they were called Queen. Their first album didn't explode in popularity like they wanted. Its initial impact was subdued, with many reviewers completely ignoring the release and keen to see their music careers take off. And coming to terms with the limp reaction of their first release, the band started to look at other ways of raising their profile in the public. And they accepted a gig at the Hammersmith Odeon at the opening act for rockers Mott the Hoople.
Mott the Hoople.
Yeah.
These are some London bands, right? This is some British stuff.
Yeah.
I can tell by the names. Scone the Crumpet.
It's me, Johnny Dashman. Thanks for coming out to see.
I like how their second album was called Queen 2.
Yes, it was.
That's super creative.
They released a prequel album too.
Queen 0.5.
As the tour progressed, Freddie's over-the-top performances and outlandish costumes made the gray suits at EMI sit up and take notice. Queen described as more than a support act, for sure. And after heading back to the UK with Brian May suffering hepatitis, they created Queen 2, which was a huge hit on both sides of the Atlantic. EMI could now see the growing reaction to Queen, and Freddie was getting stronger with each performance, which is way better than the first time he performed. He performed with his back turned to the audience. Yeah. And now the band had now achieved substantial commercial success.
Yeah, that's actually not that uncommon when a person's performing and they're not super used to it. Jim Morrison from The Doors also famously performed this way, and others too. Until you feel that that fist pumping. What was that? What's this Wembley oomph where he pumps his fist? He had it. He just didn't know he had it.
He definitely got better and better. From 1974's Queen 2 came the band's first UK charting single, Seven Seas of Rye, which was penned by Freddie Mercury. He wrote most of their songs. Freddie called on his writing skills, and by the end of the year, they had enough material for a third album, Sheer Heart Attack.
I was hoping for Queen 3.
No, Sheer Heart Attack. I think once you do the Queen and the Queen 2, for anybody, it doesn't have to just be Queen, but like any band titling their album with their band name and then doing, the sequel, and then there's no 3, 4, 5. You just have to pick a new name.
Tell Led Zeppelin that shit. Thank you.
I am right now.
Queen would be like, that's why he was doing it. Think about it. He's like, no, I'm not going to let Robert Plant and Jimmy Page, you just keep one-upping me on the numbers game. We're going in a different direction.
The first single released from the album was was Mercury's Killer Queen, and it was exactly what Freddie had been looking for, a real hit. Killer Queen soared to number 1 in the UK and made it to number 12 in the US.
Fun fact, my sister, one of like the 7, I lost count at this point, is an amateur wrestler that she has a giant Killer Queen tattoo. And I believe, I don't know if her entrance music is Killer Queen or if she goes by Killer Queen, but I'm pretty certain that at least one of her aliases is Killer Queen based off of that song.
So follow-up question, does she know that song's about a prostitute?
I think that would only enhance it.
Oh, okay. As long as she knows.
She's badass. I'm not just saying that because I think she listens to this. But Erica, please subscribe.
Yeah.
I really need subscribers, man.
By the beginning of 1975, Queen had been offered a tour of the US where their stage performances made them a guaranteed sellout and Freddie an iconic rock figure. They had sold out shows in Sao Paulo, Budapest, Russia, the UK, and the US. The massive crowds loved every minute, and Freddie insisted that every show be a theatrical event. But Freddie was never satisfied, and what he did next struck the world of music. When they began to work on
Brought the oboe in.
when they began to work on their 4th album, Freddie told his bandmates he wanted to try something different. To their astonishment, Freddie revealed that he wanted to write an operatic piece, despite knowing absolutely nothing about opera.
All right, that is different. Like, let's just do stuff we're not good at. Ready, go.
You guys ever consider doing an opera?
To ensure Bohemian Rhapsody the largest possible audience, Freddie envisioned a glitzy, kaleidoscopic video to accompany it, which was completely ahead of its time, way before MTV. So he's bringing it to the table. Freddie Mercury and Queen had been together for nearly 6 years. Their video innovation made them overnight global superstars.
So, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is news to me. Did they do the first big-ass video screen behind them while they're rocking you?
Probably.
Is that what you're telling me right now?
Yeah,
Because it's
they
like
made a
every
video.
concert I've ever
Yeah.
been to. There's, because right now people can't even like look away from their phones while they're actually at the concert. But
Right.
to imagine that this guy was the first one to be like, what would be great is something that maybe they don't look at me while I'm performing because I have these latent insecurities, and we'll watch this amazing video at the same time. So it's like adds to the show.
Right. So you're suggesting we just bring in a giant TV, a television, a telly.
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, a tube. I called it a tube, right? Oh, we are just appropriating Britain.
But as outrageous and flamboyant as he was on stage, in private, he remained shy and somewhat insecure.
That's
like you
what I'm
said.
saying. The boy had his back turned to the
Yeah.
audience the first time. And so, like, what better to take their eyes and divert them so that they're really just paying attention to the music?
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing.
Yep. As long as he had friends with him, he was more confident. Like, if there was a room full of people, he wouldn't go in by himself. There's no way.
Well, I can't judge him because, for those of you that can't see the video, since we don't post the video, we all have cameras on, but I'm actively turned around.
Yeah, all Scott ever shows us is his back. It makes us very nervous. Like, what's he
It doesn't
thinking?
make me nervous. He's got a nice back.
All right, so trust didn't come easy with Freddie. He seemed almost aristocratic, like an exotic character. So he had
What? No.
he had an inner circle, and they knew the man behind the mask, but he refused publicly to open up about his life before joining Queen. It was common knowledge that in the early months of 1970, he'd begun dating a 19-year-old girl named Mary Austin, which at that time he was about 24, who worked in a store in London's Kensington Market. He considered her his common law wife, and that they lived together for 6-7 years. And before that, before they started living together, he was, a poor, starving musician, and Mary was the one who had the job. So she paid for everything, and she was the one person in life that he really trusted.
Ride or
Aw.
die.
Yep.
It's my boyfriend Freddie. He's gonna be famous one day.
Mhm.
Aw.
And indeed, he is.
He's got extra teeth.
So that's good. They stayed together forever, so that's good.
Yeah,
Yes, they
kind of
did.
adorable.
By the end of 1975, it appeared that Freddie Mercury had everything anyone could want, and which were an immensely successful music career,
Check.
more money than he could ever spend,
Check.
millions of adoring fans,
Check.
and a woman with whom he could share his private life far from the insanity of his public image.
Check.
Yeah.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Their next album, A Night at the Opera, was a massive hit and gave them their first platinum album.
Ooh.
Their concerts regularly sold out and their fans spanned the globe, but his real life was in a constant state of flux. Though he often said that his flamboyant stage personality did not extend to his offstage life, Freddie was about to rock the world of his adoring fans, and as well as those closest to him.
With another album, Queen 4.
Oh, even more.
They probably did something like what the iPhone did. It's like Queen 7 and then Queen 10. I know there's an 8 in there, but we don't talk about the 8.
Yeah, don't go looking up Queen 8.
Queen was one of the most successful bands in the world. Bohemian Rhapsody hit number 1 4 times in 4 years and was the only single to hit number 1 at Christmas twice.
Dang.
Freddie
Yeah.
had an innate sense of what the public wanted to hear, and it made him one of the most talented singer-songwriters of his generation. And Queen's Greatest Hits is the highest-selling album of all time in the UK.
Oh, dip.
Yeah.
All time.
In 1978, Freddie and Queen undertook their largest tour to date, including 36 concerts in the US, the UK, and Europe, during which Freddie nightly hypnotized tens of thousands of adoring fans.
Whoa, wait a minute. It's okay if you're singing to him, but you can't be hypnotizing people.
Oh, he be hypnotizing people.
It's those fucking videos. Look at the background, this kaleidoscopic video going to show you everything you need to know.
Wow.
Buy our album.
Oh, God. It wasn't until 1980 that they had their first US number 1 with The Game.
I don't even know that song.
Well, check it out
Huh.
if you don't know that song.
I guess I need to.
They were
Just
now
lost the game.
Oh, fuck you,
Oh
Scott.
man, hey everyone, you
Everybody
all
just
just
lost
lost
the
the
game.
game.
They were now on America's musical map, but they needed to build their fan base if they were to remain strong there. Something which was made more difficult by Freddie's ever-changing persona. Here's a fun fact. Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury recorded 3 tracks at MJ's private home studio in 1983. One was the obviously one was the dramatically charismatic frontman of Queen, and the other was known as the King of Pop. And together they recorded a handful of duets, only one of which ever made it officially to the light of day.
I like to imagine he was just wanting to ride all the rides.
I'll sing a couple of songs then for you.
Well, Freddie he described their friendship as frightening
Yeah.
because, I mean, Michael Jackson, he's been in the game. He was younger than Freddie, but he's been in the game so much longer than he had. Like,
Well, he started when he was like 5 or something, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
ABC, my dad does beat me. Now I
Oh.
have to go sing all the things that make my dad lots of money.
Wow, that's so accurate. Yeah, Freddie Mercury's musical sort of career is by choice then, right? I mean, he was trained, but not like Michael Jackson was more like a trained performing monkey. I hate to put it that way, right? Like people would be like, okay, you do your dance, you sing your song. But Freddie Mercury was like the free creative person.
Yeah, we got to do a Michael Jackson episode at some point.
We do got to do that. Sorry, Molly.
Yeah. Proceed.
I love Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury.
Right?
So moving on. Suddenly, Freddie Mercury shows up in leather and has a mustache and close cropped hair, which was unheard of in rock music. Freddie had adopted an image known as the clone look, which is a style that was popular among gay men. To compound things, the video of Queen's 1984 release, I Want to Break Free, saw Freddie and the band dressed in drag. So,
oh my.
Exactly. So if a few fans had previously whispered questions about Freddie's sexuality, then the same questions were now being shouted in the tabloid. Like in England, drag is accepted as a part of like stage comedy, and it was considered just a bit of theater. But in the more conservative US, many of Queen's American followers began turning their back on the band, which is effed up and sad.
Yeah.
However, thanks to their unrivaled music, the band escaped a media witch hunt, at least in the UK, and they remained as popular as ever. Freddie's popularity was confirmed in 1985 when Bob Geldof asked Queen to perform at his Live Aid concert, along with 65 of rock's greatest acts, including Led Zeppelin, Paul McCartney, and Spandau Ballet.
As everybody remembers.
Yeah.
Spandau Ballet. I have no idea who that is.
I don't either.
Well, it's and that's, to be fair, having seen that set 3 times, you kind of would forget every band that wasn't Queen that went to that place.
That's
to
fair.
that event.
Like I legit didn't know Led Zeppelin was there. Like I hear Live Aid, I'm just like Queen. But was there anybody else there? Some guy named Paul McCartney, I guess, but
yeah.
What did Live Aid do? What was the reason of the concert?
Well, I know that there was 86,000 people there. And
Right.
Freddie, I don't know what the actual thing was. Maybe Molly, you might know.
I feel like the one who did their best job on their homework because I know nothing.
it was for
I'm gonna make an
famine
assumption.
relief in Ethiopia.
There we go. Yeah.
That was my next guess.
Yeah.
And
Man,
now I
the
want to do an
images-
episode on Live Aid because, spoiler alert, it did not end famine in Ethiopia.
Oh,
It
beans.
perhaps might have made it worse.
Oh.
But that's another story.
Well, Queen was great.
Yeah, Queen was great. That Queen had nothing to do with that.
I mean, and he wears all white. And I don't remember if it was before or after Labor Day, but he pulls it off. But the crowd was him. It was all interconnectedness. It's the closest thing that I can imagine to doing mushrooms without doing mushrooms would feel like, is just like this personal interconnectedness with the world around you. It must have just been an amazing moment to be there, especially for someone who was as theatric as he is.
Right, though?
Yeah.
In stark contrast, his personal life was about to take a turn for the worst. Worse than anyone could have imagined.
Oh, damn.
Freddie admitted that he had innumerable sexual connections through his life, saying that he had an enormous sex drive. And in 1987, he found that his promiscuity had a consequence. He was diagnosed with a new sexually transmitted disease at the time, AIDS. And headlines screamed, Freddie Mercury and AIDS shocks. Like, he publicly denied the stories, but his friends were starting to worry. Like, one of his friends saw like the lesions on his skin and stuff, and he just didn't talk about it. In 1989, Freddie revealed the truth to his family and his inner circle. Time was running out for Freddie Mercury, and there were so many things yet to accomplish. He had a life to live, and it was a daunting prospect for a man not yet 43 years old. But 4 years earlier, Freddie had attended an opera featuring renowned Spanish diva Montserrat Caballé. I think it's Caballé.
Sour cream ballot.
And he instantly fell in love with her soaring voice. Freddie got to meet her, and she wanted to record an album with him, which is the beautiful Barcelona. And that song makes me cry every time I hear it. His performance with her was one of the greatest, but sadly his last. Although he continued to write and record for the new Queen album, Innuendo, he no longer undertook live engagements. The strain of performing had become far too much for him. After filming his final video, These Are the Days of Our Lives, Freddie seldom went out of the house. And on his 45th birthday, on September 5th, 1991, Freddie only allowed a few close friends to visit. And by the end of October, Freddie was so weak and in constant pain that he could hardly walk to the bathroom unaided. And he was also going blind.
Jesus.
On November 23rd, 1991, Freddie released a statement to the press confirming what everyone knew, that he had AIDS. And the next day, at the age of 45, Freddie Mercury died. And
Jeez.
he left the vast majority of his wealth to Mary Austin, the only person that he ever truly trusted.
Ride or die.
And his only true friend. Mary continues to live at Mercury's home in Kensington with her family. Freddie Mercury had led Queen through 18 albums and dozens of hit singles. Everyone knows Bohemian Rhapsody. Everyone. And his astounding vocal range, incomparable writing talent, and dynamic stage performances assured Freddie a permanent place in the pantheon of rock and roll history.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's 30 years later. A dead man is still so present in,
they just made a movie about him.
Yeah.
However many years later.
You know the shot they use for selling the movie is that Live Aid scene, which they recreated, the all white dress, the whole fist pumping. That's what I was saying. That
Yeah.
He had the.
Um,
And they kept those 4 extra teeth and put him in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Oh, did they really?
No, man, I have no idea if they put the.
Over here we got Mick Jagger's guitar from that one big event, and Freddie Mercury's teeth in a bag.
I
Not in a
have
bag. That'd be like a nice display or something. Like Jesus.
X-rays of dental records you can see as the foreground.
They have a top-notch curator, Scott. They're not just gonna put them in a bag. People get master's degrees for that crap.
The worst
I-
fate for his precious teeth.
I have sources
Okay.
that I will be sending to you later. Scoot.
Alrighty.
Scoot will put them in the description.
Yeah.
Yes.
So freddiemercury.com, there's wiki, biography.com, and YouTube. But I'll be sending those exact links to you so you can source these for me.
Yeah,
link
absolutely.
yourself to Barcelona too if you get a moment.
Oh my
Anybody
God,
out
please
there,
listen to Barcelona.
If you
Okay, what's
if
it
you hear
called?
This
Barcelona?
Just called Barcelona.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to listen to that.
It's a precious piece of
Oh
music.
my God,
The
it's so
operatic
good.
style of Freddie Mercury definitely. I'll speak a little bit just as a music player myself. I mean, there's a lot of inspiration there. A lot of people want to replicate that because it is stand out as a style.
Also,
they've
Montserrat Caballé, she's amazing.
So I've never listened to opera on my own. Like I would
Yeah,
do
me
it under
either.
duress as a kid because, like, you have to become cultured in some way. And here's what opera is, but I didn't find an enjoyment for it in that way. Just me.
Yeah,
You guys
I'm with
love
you.
opera?
I don't
Dude,
really I don't really understand musical theater in general. I'm like, why don't they
think-
just talk instead of singing?
I think if I had the chance to go to an opera, that I would enjoy it. It would invoke, feelings of it's what music's supposed to do. I don't know. I feel like I would enjoy the shit out of an opera.
Well, opera may just be hummus.
What?
I'll feed you, baby birds. Hummus is something I called sand mustard when I first met you people.
Yeah.
But if you now go down to my fridge, I have 2 different containers of 2 different forms of hummus that I have been ordering every grocery store trip for like the last 3 months. So yeah, I think it's probably one of those things for me where I've never really listened to opera, but maybe if I listen to it, I'll put it in containers and put it in my fridge.
See, I have listened to opera. I've been to an opera. Not for me.
Yeah, but okay. Not to challenge that notion. However, Queen did it pretty right because if you'd have been to a Queen concert, you'd be like, yes.
Yeah,
I
that's
did
true.
it.
I do like me some Bohemian Rhapsody for sure. I'm gonna listen to this Barcelona song.
They often did a bunch of stuff that was interesting in live music too. They were experimental in sound construction. Molly mentioned replicating the Phil Spector wall of sound. They were workshoppers, right, with the tech part of their music. So like tube amps were being redesigned by Brian May. And there was like a pretty iconic British fuzz that you hear in guitar parts of the time. And Brian May has a lot of street cred for coming up with some of that sound himself.
Nice.
Fun fact. Yeah.
I find the sound aspect of rock and roll really interesting. Like all the different effects and like the ways they use technology to change the sound that a guitar could make. And so now like with just the guitar, you can make all these crazy sounds, like from just like a straight pure guitar riff to like, something like really crunchy and alternative. Like I was big into grunge, and that was like one of the main things with grunge was like how everything was so like crunchy and distorted. And it's really, that stuff's really interesting to me.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury gets it. Brian May gets it. If music is movement and operatically you write and express it in movements, then the ability to switch sound with a step of a pedal. You push a button with your foot while you're still
Yeah.
playing the fucking guitar. Oh my
Yeah.
god, you just transform the whole song on the fly.
Yeah,
These
exactly.
guys were doing this like at contemporaneous to the music being written. They're like, oh, what if we just step on the pedal here and now it sounds fucking crunchy?
Yeah.
I think that it would have been a wow to been just a fly on the wall. Of course, anyone says that, but
Mhm.
in the sweatshop of that music production. Plus, it probably smelled like strong Earl Grey tea. Maybe there's mustache combs everywhere.
Well, that has been our episode on Freddie Mercury. Thanks again, Molly. You can follow Molly at Malswald on Twitter. I am doing so fucking good now. I'm getting this shit down.
Streak.
Yeah, you can follow me at That One Loud Guy. You can follow Matt at Mattrel20. And you can follow Vinny at Keith Urban.
He's not even American.
G'day,
Well-
mate. You follow me on Twitter.
God forbid. Well, thank you guys.
Yeah, guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed the episode on Freddie Mercury and Queen.
Thanks, Molly.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And stay tuned to the YouTube channel. As you may have already seen a video be posted, and more of those will be coming. I'm not entirely certain how schedules work. So, thank you guys.
Scott don't know, we don't know.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye. Really?
That
Okay.
Matt has a gluten allergy, right? And I had this dumb thought where it's like, if you eat a lot of gluten, you won't die. It'll hurt you a lot, right? So I had this dumb thought of like Matt just going, I'm done. I'm checking out, and he just picks up just a bunch of gluten foods and he just starts chowing down. Episode 10's the last one. I'm done. And he's just sitting there. It's like in 3 hours, he's just sitting on the toilet, like, my tummy hurts.
It's actually kind of close to reality, for real. Like when I was in college.
So you could like walk into a scenario knowing that you're going to be in some level of like gut distress because of what you're eating, right?
Yeah, it was really hard at first because like I would like know that I shouldn't do things, but like it's so ingrained. Like like people are eating pizza. It's fucking college. Everybody's always eating pizza. Like and it was like people didn't know about it as much back then either. So you don't want to be like, oh, I can't have any pizza. I can't have gluten. Everybody's like, what? You can't have what now?
As though that social barrier is like so detrimental, right? Like, oh man, everyone stay away from Matt. He's contagious. You might catch the inability to digest gluten efficiently.
I just imagine like Hunter S. Thompson, right? Always would carry a gun with him with one bullet just in case he never wanted to be in a situation where he couldn't commit suicide. I feel
What?
like if Matt ever, yeah, that's a 100% true thing. Hunter S. Thompson always carried a gun on him with a bullet in the chamber because he never wanted to have a situation. He didn't want to be anywhere where he couldn't commit suicide if that was an option he wanted to choose. So I just imagine Matt's version of that is like if someone searches him, you find like part of a baguette in his back pocket.
Hey Matt, you have an emergency gluten tablet installed in your right incisor. You know what to do.
Yep.